Hi everyone, it's Paul again, and today I'm going to talk about the Warrior of Resonance R52 and the joy of owning this product from our Music Box team. So last year, just over last year, we started on this ambitious project to make an IEM, no expense spared, as great as we can, have it bass-led type of tuning, and we took about just over a year, and our plan was to launch it by December 2025, and I think we managed to do that. It's a very ambitious project to do because there's a lot of new things in here which I will talk about later on, but let's cover the unboxing first, and then I'll cover some of the history. I'll go into the details of it, the design theory behind it, etc. Okay, so what do you get in front of us? You will get this box. Okay, it's limited to 100, and then you get a passage here to explain some of the theory behind the design. So you have this warrior who's called Carl, and basically his quest is to try and find the best sound. So he's fighting, he's going through all these jungles, he has his journey throughout the forest and all that, looking for the best sound source he could find. Okay, so that's the backdrop behind it. Okay, now you get this box, you get this plush leather casing which is handmade. By the way, everything we do is handmade as much as we can, apart from the case, right, which we can't. This is CNC made. Okay, the pure silver with the gold plating. Okay, so this is the box itself. So this leather is actually from Italy. It's the Tuscany leather, okay, from Italy, and this is handmade. You get a cable tie, you get the cable. So this is handmade as well. This cable, palladium with gold, silver, and copper. Okay, a 12 core cable, rather thick. You get we actually made our own dongle. Okay, so as you know, we believe in groove on the go, portability, and this dongle is actually incorporated with this IEM, and we made sure that the PCB on here is all gold plated on that, and it's enough to drive this 33 ohm IEM. Okay, so this is for people who wants to take this on the go. So this is, you get this dongle, you get the same cable, 12 core in there as well. We offer actually an 8 core and a 12 core. So the 8 core is that you get 4 core less gold in there. So there's 4 palladium, 4 core gold, or if you go for the 12, then you get the 8 core gold with that. Okay. You get the card because it's limited to 100. And then you get our booklet. In every one of our IEM, we actually have some documentation that comes with it to explain what drivers are in there, the story behind it, the actual files and songs that we test using this IEM. So it's all in there, in this case. And notice that over time, this has evolved. We started out without the music box. Now you get this glass case over this music box, and you can wind it up, and it's actually a music box designed by our leather maker. Okay, it's actually pretty good because he actually did all these pins by hand. Each one is hammered in individually. It actually takes him as long to make this box as it does for us to make the IEM, so you get all this. The IEM, notice that there's a removable faceplate. So when this comes off, and then you could see this, all the drivers inside. Notice that there's 26 drivers on each ear, so we did some, groundbreaking things in that you have 52 drivers in total, and a couple of drivers that we made ourselves in there, which are the dynamic driver and the planar driver in there. Okay, I'll go into the detail of that later. It comes with our own natural harmonics E-tips, which is made using silver inside, 925 silver. Let's say it here. It comes with its own. We have two boxes. We have the sizing kit, which has 3 different types of or sizes of ear tips in there, small, medium, large in there. For people who don't know their size, then we give them the sizing kit and they could try and find out which one they like. And once they find out which ones they like, they could order the one size one. For example, here is a small one, so they could get the 3 in a box, or small, or either medium or large. Okay, so what we do is we try to complete an end-to-end ecosystem for the end user. So we have the ear tips, we make the cables, we make the IEM, and possibly in the future we may have our own, DAP. So that's on the roadmap for us. So here is literally what you get in each of the in the package, and then you get a cloth bag, a luxury cloth bag to put this case, to put this leather box in, and then put it all together. And then we've also made our own pouches, IEM pouches here. Okay, and inside here, what you do is you put the 2 earphones in there so that they don't clash, and then you put the cable. So you don't have to take the IEM out away from the cable. You just curl it up, put it into there, and then you have a bag that you could put into your rucksack to carry around with you. Okay, so this is the whole unboxing of it. Now let me explain some of the history on this. Okay, so over the year, what we have is we've assembled a team to actually build the IEM. So we have our Dragon Master, who's the chief designer of the IEM. So he designs this, gets all our team input on it and how to design it. And then we have our dedicated cable maker who actually made this, and this is actually exclusive. He actually got a factory and made these cable and designed this cable, the palladium cable, for our company. So this is exclusive and you can't get this anywhere else. Okay, and this is handmade as well. And then we have our leather packaging maker who does all the boxing, does that all by hand. Okay, and then we have a team of engineers who help out our Dragon Master to actually hand solder these all on, because this is too complex to actually do by machine. So these are all hand soldered on. Okay, there. Now let me just go into the history. I mean, what we wanted to achieve was that we have a feedback from all the customers on our community, and basically what they were saying is that this Taranko bass was not enough, and they wanted something that was more boomy, more rumble, and where you could actually feel the bass, the sub bass when you listen to it. So we started out with the concept is that it has to be bass led, but we want all the other mids, highs, trebles to sound as good as well and detailed. So you know that the Steranko 40 was more inclined to the vocals and mids being good, but the bass was more punchy. So this one has a slightly different tuning, and we wanted to start off with the bass first. So what we did was we came up with 5 different type of drivers to cover the range, to make sure that we get a fully immersive IEM which has great sound clarity and quality for each of the ranges and each of the frequencies. So this is the Quinbrid IEM. So it has bone conductor. Okay, the bone conductor we have 2, which covers the lows, and which gives spatial dimension, right, on there, make the sound stage wide. We have balanced armature 7 to cover the mids and the highs, which gives the detail and the clarity. We have the electrostatics, 4 of them, to cover the highs and ultra highs, and this gives it a fast transient response. And then we have 12 planar drivers, which covers the mids and high, and planners is really the area of where our Dragon Master's expertise is, and he said, you know, it provides very low distortion and great accuracy. And lastly, it has a dynamic driver in there, and we actually made the dynamic drivers ourselves. Okay, so it covers the lows and part of the mids in there. In theory, though, it's not just one dynamic driver in there. We actually have a kind of hybrid. We have a 10mm and an 8mm of dynamic driver in there, covering different frequencies in there, which gives us that deep bass. Now, when we started making this, we came across so many problems. I mean, it's too many problems to list, or too many challenges that we had to overcome in here. That's why it took us longer than, you know, expected, about probably an extra 2 months, because at first the tuning we felt wasn't right, and it was because of the dynamic driver. Firstly, we had no intention of actually making our own dynamic driver, but we had no choice because we couldn't get that boomy and rumbly type of bass. So we ended up spending a month in designing our own driver, and we came up with this, with our own dynamic driver in this. Okay, that was one of the challenges that we had to overcome, and I think, you know, if you listen to this now, you hear a great rumbly, boomy sound on the bass. Secondly, the design. Now, as you can see, we wanted like a open case back design, because some of us came from a watch collecting world and goes, why don't we design something unique in the IEM world, where maybe we could create a kind of like a you know, hunter case, like what you see for watches, and incorporate it into an IEM, so that when they open it up, you could see the drivers in its full glory. So originally we were planning to put like a hunter case type in here, whereby it swivels across. But this went through a few iterations already, and we wanted to swing across like that, but it became really fragile, so we had to abandon that idea. And then finally we came up to this design where the plate is you have 3 holes there, and then you have 3 magnetic pins in there which holds it down, because literally there's no place to actually make it any smaller, right, on here. And we crammed 26 drives in there. These are all hand soldered in there, and it was a really painful experience for them to actually solder in and pick up that knowledge really quickly, right, in actually trying to get everything as well designed and placed correctly. And another challenge we had was we used toughened glass. This is actual glass in there. We didn't go for the short, you know, easy route of using acrylic, right, in here, because that would have been easy job. But then we chose a non-symmetrical shape glass in there, and we had to hand polish or hand chisel this glass into this shape to get it in there, and then you know, sandpaper it down to make sure that it goes in, fits nicely to get this kind of finish. Okay, so the success rate of that was literally, you know, 50%. We had to throw half of it away, because at some time when you chisel it, it would crack the glass. So we threw away a lot of glass, and it was a painful experience to try and create this. So as you can see, this is the result of this. And we also, you know, decided to go against the grain and not use a sandblast finish on this, because we wanted a mirror polish finish. Now with mirror polish finish, you know that if you rub over time, over a couple of years, then you probably get this wearing out because it's mirror polished. And if we chose sandblasted finish, it may last a bit longer, but it doesn't have that look, that glamorous, luxurious look as this. So this is the final result. Now, I think overall, having that number of drivers actually makes the imaging, we believe that it makes the separation and the imaging a lot better, because you have all these drivers in there and they're dedicated to certain frequencies. So we chose the best drivers that we can, which produces the best frequency range. For example, the bass should be done by a dynamic driver. The highs should be done with a mixture of electrostatic, because it has the fast transient response, as well as the low distortion using the planners. And then we use the bone conductor drivers to give you that wide sound stage, because it gives that spatial feeling. So that's what we try to do, and there's a reason why we use each of the drivers to try and get that. And hopefully if you get a chance to audition it, you'll hear it's a massive sound stage on there. The separation is so great, the bass is there, and we've heard it over a number of different IEMs out there. The bass is probably one of the best that's out there at the moment, and you get this clarity which is amazing on the sound that's produced on here. Especially when you hear orchestral sound, it feels like you're in the whole auditorium, a large area, and everything is crystal clear. So if you get a chance, audition this, and hopefully I've given you enough background on the making of this and why we chose the components that we use. And enjoy, like and subscribe. Thanks, bye.